other than getting over the trauma of actually being myself, or of actually the trauma that I experienced, one of the hardest things is to turn up on camera and just be me, be the authentic me. That's what I've been struggling with for the last few years. And it's kind of, if for those of us who had programming or kind of, were expected to be someone else, that we should have been someone else, that kind of we didn't fit into a box that was desired, then there is a certain degree of trauma in that, and sometimes there's a huge degree of trauma in that. And it's what I have found is that by literally turning up on camera, putting myself out into the world, that my body reacts. It's not just a gut feeling. And it's not even that my videos have been, they haven't been crazy successful, and they haven't been terrible either. But there is that, fear of just showing up in the world. I was told that this is a form of anorexia, a desire to hide away from the world as a protection mechanism. I remember the first, one of my earliest memories is trying out for the school play, and it was William the Conqueror and Harold in 1066, and I had to, and I was, trying out for Harold, who got it, got shot in the eye, and it's kind of, I remember being dramatic about it, and it was, and then everybody laughing about it, and it was like, I didn't, and it was funny. I now look back and I'm like, well, the mannerism I did and the kind of, it was funny, but actually, I took it because I was an ultra sensitive kid. I took it badly, and I never did that again. And it's kind of, there is a need to protect emotionally and from the world that me and a lot of my friends have. That's the way we grew up. We learned coping mechanisms, strategies in order to be able to survive and not be visible. Because to be visible is to be a target. And that's, a lot of bullying. There are those of us who carry an energy, empathic energy, that kind of, also a naive energy, that we kind of went out into the world and it wasn't such a nice experience. And for me, a lot of my recovery has been recovering from that, understanding that it is okay to be me, while at the same time, other people are going to say it's not okay for me to be me. And it's there is that lack of trust in the world that everything will be okay if I just turn up and talk. And that's my biggest challenge. And some people find that super easy. I look at other people, who are, gregarious as kids, and they find it super easy. They love it. They just, and for me, it's been a real, I was going to say labor of love. No, it's been just as if it's my life path to be able to, my biggest challenge, and I know, is to be able to turn up on video, talk, and just, talk about the stuff I've learned, the stuff that's helped, and then see how that sits in my body. What comes up for me emotionally? What messages are still playing in my head? What are the messages that are telling me it's not okay? And at the same time as I get videos to say what you're doing is not okay. It's that. This is part of betraying the loyalty of the family, even if the loyalty of the family is misdirected. I turn up and make videos on what I call emotional alchemy. It's kind of, understanding what happened, what I felt, and how I feel about that now. That's gotten how that in the past influences me today and every day. It's kind of how, because it's weird, right? It's like, why would we carry that? It happened years ago, but there is part of us, an energetic part of us, which is essentially, still present, which, and this is for everybody, it doesn't matter what it is. Most people it's not kind of showing off in video. It's kind of different stuff, but that interacts with us every day in everything we do. For everybody, it's like we are, and I guess for me it's about questioning how I turn up in the world and understanding that there are kind of messages and themes and expectations that I still carry that mean that I can't choose to do exactly what I want to do today. I remember this amazing book by a guy called Gay Williams who it was called The Giant Leap. He's like, even, it doesn't matter if you're the janitor or the CEO, they both have this, level which they can't break through it until, they realize it, they realize that that's the block, and then they're able to break through it, and maybe then, not even able to break through it. And it's about just being conscious of what comes up. And that's, for me, the alchemy part of it. It's just simply, doing something, or, even listening to something, and then listening to what the messages are here, and what fears come up in a body, because the stuff that happens in here creates creates neurotransmitters, which create hormones, which create feelings in the body. So that and that gut wrench that you feel when, no matter what it is, maybe it's maybe you have a fear of water, maybe you have a fear of clowns, maybe you have a fear of whatever it is, but it's like, there's that thought that comes in and it triggers something, a response in our body. I'm in a Facebook group which helps people through divorce, and it's there was a guy, he posted in it today, and he's just, something happened and he's in full trauma, and it's like, the physiology takes hold, and we live with consciousnesses in here, and I guess all of it, but it's like, we interact in the world, stuff comes up, and the body gives us feedback on it in a good way or a bad way. Some people love going on roller coasters. They just get on that roller coaster, and it's like, yes. Other people get on the roller coaster and go, I'm never doing that again. And it's, it's different for everybody. And it's like, has to be based on what happened and how we interact with it now. And so, for me, it's just about, can I be present in this moment? Because I'm not, now I'm feeling better about making this video. At the beginning of this video, I was like, I can feel it in my body, right? That uncomfortability, the tension about just talking. And yet I know that, and for me, this is a lot to do with physiology and health and illness. I have a underactive thyroid, and you can hear it today. It's like, my voice is lower. There's stuff going on with it. And it's, actually I slept in a bed last night which had a lot of, the sheets obviously had a lot of laundry detergent in them, because first of all I can smell it, and that stuff is toxic. It's made by a guy in a lab coat. He doesn't use beautiful essential oil, lavender. He uses, toxic chemicals that bind to the fabric. And that's, most people, it doesn't matter. But when I get into the bed, I notice that my throat kind of tenses up a bit, and my voice drops. And it's like my body giving me feedback about what is going on physiologically. And I know that if there's, if I get anxiety or whatever it is, that could also be that, along with all the other, anxious stuff which comes up in my life. And it's, the more I can be aware of this, and by talking to other people, and which reminds me, I've got to, connect with a friend who I've known for a long time, and we check in and just, find out. We had a very similar life paths, and it's kind of, guidance from him, because he can so often see those things in my life that I can't see. It's the same principle about having a therapist. It's like you have someone who is very much kind of educated on spotting patterns in of behavior and emotions, and it's and psychology, and it's like, because it's difficult for me to spot those things myself. It takes a very long time. But when I hang out with friends and when we talk about this stuff, we get those aha moments, those insights. And also, those people as well help me, my friends, help me have more trust in the world. Not because, because, I can identify with someone else who is energetically like me, who has had many of my life experiences, negatively, predominantly, but also good ones. And we can laugh about the difficult ones, and we can help each other get insights into why we feel the way we do, and what we can do about it, what actions we can take in order to, for me, create the life I want, to be able to show up on camera and go, it's okay. It's okay to make videos. It's okay to talk about the things that I think are valuable to me. And, and one of the greatest things, one of the most significant things in my life is, the recovery that I have discovered, that I have developed, learning how to heal, all that stuff. The biggest, going back to the idea of like overcoming the trauma of being myself. Yes, I experienced trauma early on, and yes, I still carry that trauma, but it's like there is this desire in me, this kind of, I don't know what the word to call it, but there's this drive in me to overcome that really heavy emotional baggage of, the easiest way to call it is Mark. That's the trauma of being myself. And it's like hanging out with other people, friends, they give me permission to be myself. I love doing karaoke. I love, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but, when I do it with other people, they can see other people. When I do it with my friends, I don't know why I keep saying that. When I do it with my friends, they can see how much I enjoy it. And part of the trauma of being myself is not allowing to enjoy that stuff. If life is, difficult, heavy emotionally, then it's because I'm doing stuff wrong, and fun isn't going to help. Fun in that case is bad. But then if I don't learn how to do that, if I, suppressed all that stuff early on, then I'm going to find it much more difficult to be creative, to have fun, because still in the back of my mind, there's going to be bad, bad, bad. Well, it's just one of the things. It's one of the things I got. It's like, when you're playing poker and you get a hand, 5 cards, and it's like, a few of the cards I got are really heavy. And I have to learn, to work it through, to work out how I can best show up in the world, so I can, and I guess this is if I can process my heavy emotional stuff and then talk about it on camera, it's like, well, that is part of my purpose, definitely. And there's other stuff, I do divorce coaching, and I love law. It's just, it's kind of, seems really straight-laced. Listen to the voice in my head, right? Really straight-laced. But it's kind of, but I enjoy it. I love it. It's the intuitive law stuff. It's the divine law. I was told that, originally, divine, take that however you want. I'm not but it's like there is this essence in all of us which kind of guides us to know what is right and wrong, but it's helpful or unhelpful. And then the worst form of law that I was told is like, dudes write down something on a piece of paper and they say, you have to do this. the authoritarians say, if you don't do this, there's going to be consequences. And we see so many of them in the world right now. And they want to profit from it. I mean, that's the worst form of authoritarianism. It's like, forcing other people to do stuff for profit. It's like difficult for those of us who, have emotional baggage, but have this idea that, wow, this, it could be, we could live in an amazing world. There's enough for everybody. Okay, how can we work together in order to create beautiful things that everybody is gonna, benefits everybody? And then we see other people in the world who want to own everything and are working towards owning everything and subjugating everybody else. And it's like, subjugating, it's like such a hardcore word, and it's kind of like describes it perfectly. A whole bunch of authoritarians wanting to subjugate other people in order that they can profit. But it's, it's not even about profit, it's about control. And that's like, they were wounded in a certain way, however it was, and now they, the baggage they carry is their kind of mentality and determination and desire is to control the biggest amount of people possible, to make the biggest amount of profit. It's like, why do you need all that stuff? You can't spend it in 10 lifetimes. Money's not the problem, land is not the problem, gold is not the problem, whatever it is. It's kind of, the desire for it at the expense of everybody else, or at the expense of lots of other people. And it's like, okay, I don't get it. I know it exists, and I know that we're in a world where, that's the kind of ground rules in which we live. And all I can do is just ignore so much of the bullshit that goes on in the world and go, okay, how do I turn up in the world today and, talk about what matters to me, which is emotional healing, but also about, what is it I can do today in order to be, to make a difference. So definitely talking about the emotional stuff and talking about the emotional burden of how to overcome it, because if everybody did that, if I didn't get a choice in it, if I hadn't stopped drinking, if I hadn't stopped using drugs, I'd be dead. But then I got sober, and the emotions felt like they were going to kill me. Of course, because I'd pushed them down all my life. So it's about, if everybody could do that, but everybody's not going to do that. I wouldn't have done it if I'd had the choice, and I didn't have the choice. But it's like, oh, now I can see if everybody does it, but not everybody's going to do it. If you're watching this video, if you're still at this point, then you're probably into how you can do that for yourself, create a better life for you and other people. That's like, that's my mission. It's kind of turn up in the world, learn to look after myself, learn to nourish myself, create value, and then use that value to nourish myself and help others overcome whatever traumas they're carrying, learn to nourish themselves, and if necessary, provide nourishment to them. That's like, how do we grow a community that emphasizes that? It's kind of, I love that, the kind of Native American tribal mentality. It's like nobody goes hungry. Everybody has a place to eat. Even the sick people get cared for. And it's and the problem is not capitalism. The problem is kind of capitalism to the exclusion of everybody else. I forget what it is. You have heart-centered capitalism. I make some beautiful rose-smelling soap. You buy it, and then I use that money to buy something for myself, or and then help somebody else with it. It's that's not a problem. The problem is not people that sell rose-scented soap. The problem is the people that want to take a whole bunch of chemicals, mix it in with some, soap, sell 1,000 bars, 10,000, a million bars of soap, and it's full of chemicals. It does loads of crap to you, and they want all the money and they want all the stuff, and it's kind of, crony capitalism. Fucking, it's all about balance. It's like, and I have to learn how to do that in my life, whether that's with my emotions, whether that's with food, whether that's with understanding how my hormones are today. When I wake up, it's kind of, even before I've opened my eyes, I'm like, how am I today? How fast are my thoughts? How does my body feel? Are there any parts of my body which are aching? Do I feel full of energy? Do I feel sad? Do I feel happy? Do I feel ready to bounce out of bed? Did I wake up at 9 a.m. or did I wake up at 6 a.m.? It's kind of all of this stuff. It's kind of the emotions and the physiology. Those are my guides in life, ultimate guides, along with other people. But it's like, if I can learn to navigate my own psyche and physiology and what my body is telling me. So if it's hot, I live in a hot country. If it's hot, can I notice that my body is hot? I don't know, about 50% of the time. It's kind of a work in progress. But the more I can, it's pause, meditate. But it's like, that takes practice. And it's not all about meditation. Meditation is just going through my day and then just becoming consciously aware. Oh, I need to turn the air conditioning on. Okay. I reckon I have low blood sugar. Or I just need to drink some fluids. My body's giving me feedback the whole time. My brain is also giving me feedback, often through my body. The more I can navigate that, the easier my emotions are, the easier my days are, the easier it is to turn up on camera and, enjoy and have fun in the world. And at this point, this video has been quite fun, whereas the first bit wasn't. So, and to be aware of all the, crazy BS going on in the world. Can I look out and go, so much of this horse shit is kind of, I need to ignore, because I want to focus on what I want to create. And that idea that, the more I focus on, what I focus on expands and comes to me. It's like, okay, great. The trouble is that if I'm still carrying trauma, then that is always going to come into the picture, come into my life, come into my physiology to say, hey, this is still unresolved and we need to work it through. Again, it's all about balance, being aware, and it's just like, okay, right. I never know how to end these videos, so I'm simply going to say, my name's Mark, this is The Emotional Alchemist. Overcoming the trauma of being myself. Thanks for watching.